Hi. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about restoration. And so just to like kind of give you guys like a brief background on me. Like Brian said, I grew up in the church, and I didn't have a very strong relationship with my father, so I didn't really get like the good father love from him. And I grew up in the church, but I wasn't really close to Jesus growing up. I never got the love that I needed from him either. And so kind of, I was homeschooled until 9th grade, and then I hit 9th grade, and it was kind of like, I hit this wall, like, I didn't know all this stuff was coming for me, you know? Just like the peer pressure and everything else that comes with being a teenager and being in 9th grade and facing high school. So I fell into, like, boys was kind of the first thing that I fell into, like, you know, like, oh, hey, you want to be my boyfriend? Or like, it's not even that deep though, like even like the little things like looking for extra attention on something that we call Facebook, with like messaging boys that I knew I wasn't supposed to, and just doing like even the little things that still count. And then I fell into doing drugs, and then from drugs I was like, okay, well, boys haven't filled me, drugs haven't filled me, like what the heck is going on here, like all this stuff, like I have all this stuff, and like this is what's supposed to fill me, this is how I'm supposed to, this is what the world tells me is going to fill me, and I'm like, what's going on? I don't feel much better at all. Yeah. And so, I mean, I was pretty bad. I would smoke weed and then go to youth group, smoke weed and then go to church, and so I would be in the back of church like super high, just chilling, like, all right, God, come on, like, where are you? Like, if you're here, then you would just, you know, but I was just so lost, and I was literally looking for everything to fill me. I went to so many different things, and I could never find what I needed in the world. I could never find it. It's just something that you're never going to find. Nothing is going to be able to fill the hole in your heart until you go to Jesus.
Come on.
And so, just like this week, Jim was really talking about restoration and what it means to be restored. And restoration is when you can leave the crippling pain that holds you down. And there was nights, I kid you not, you guys, like nights that I was so broken. I mean, I lied to my best friend. I lied to my parents. Nobody knew who I was. I had this double life, doing all these things outside of church. I would come to church, everything's fine, I'm fine. And I just got to a point where I couldn't even do it anymore. I would lay in bed and cry at night, except for my heart was so hard, I couldn't even cry. Like, I got to that point where it's like, all I want to do is cry, but I can't even cry because my heart is so hard. Like, and then, I just, like, as I came, and what happens when we do this and when we hide in it's like shame and condemnation. And those things are going to pummel you down until you bring light into the darkness. So I had all these places in my heart, and I was hiding all this darkness, and all these things were crumbling me down. And once I brought light into my heart, and once I accepted, like, Jesus for the first time for me and for nobody else, He has restored me. He has given me hope where I had no hopelessness. He has just completely changed my life. I mean, I'm not the same at all. And I just know that God, like, I wouldn't be here without Jesus. And I wouldn't be the person that I am. And I wouldn't be walking in the destiny and the calling that God has for my life if Jesus wouldn't have picked me up and restored me.
Katie.
And so, yeah, just like a couple more things that Jim Anderson really spoke to in my heart. It's like, we're so worried about all the shame and all the darkness in our heart, but the crazy thing is that God's not even worried about your sin. God's not even worried about your sin. He's worried about if you will bring it into the light so that you can be healed, so that you can be called a son or a daughter of God. Yeah. That's what He's worried about. He's not worried about your sin. He's worried about if you can shed light into the darkness and be healed and be transformed. And just like doing that this year, honestly, shedding light into my heart and letting God restore me is the best thing I could have ever done. And every time I say yes and surrender everything I am to God, even after I've done it the first time, it just brings me new life. Every time I do it, it never gets old. Yeah. And so I just think that, you guys, God is waiting for you, and He wants to restore you. And everything that you are going through right now, He wants to restore you from and rid you of that pain, so that you can then take that and go for it and talk about it and share Jesus with others and help your friends as well. This isn't just for you. This is for the world. We have a broken generation. We live in a broken generation. And when we find that restoration, and then on top of that we have the power to share that restoration, I mean, God's going to do great things in you guys, and I'm just excited to be here, honestly, and to be a part of this youth group. And I know that God is just going to do great things in you guys when, like, just have that willing heart and bring the darkness into the light. And I believe God wants to do great things with you guys, so I'm glad I can be here and be a part.
Yeah.